Take your hands out of your pockets.
Okay.
Pulled you over today.
Okay.
Because you have a suspended driver's license.
So put your hands on. I know that you cannot do that. So we're going to the Supreme Court. I hope you know that.
In the Marine Corps, we had a term called sea lawyers. That's SEA lawyers. People who would always want to litigate the rules and regulations and laws to try to circumvent a way around having to do things the correct way. And police officers run into sea lawyers very frequently. People who want to circumvent the law, think they know the law, want to argue every single step of the way, and while breaking the law. And those people, no matter how much they try to debate they know about the law, when they violate it, they're going to end up in handcuffs and on the way to jail. This is one of those.
Yeah, that's definitely undrafting. Hey, shut the door. Come back here. Come back here.
What's going on?
Hey, pulled you over. Take your hands out of your pockets.
Okay.
Pulled you over today.
Okay.
Because you have a suspended driver's license. I ran your tags.
Okay.
And I found that the registered owner was
Y'all can do it,
driver's license and registered owner.
You say what?
Take your hands out of your pockets,
Okay.
please.
Okay. No.
I ran your tags.
Okay. I understand it.
Those of you who watch this channel know that I watch very closely how officers interact with the people that they deal with, especially on the initial approach when it comes to a car stop. And I can tell officers who work in areas that have high crime and officers who are really astute about making sure that the hands are visible. So on more than one occasion, the officers told the subject, keep your hands where I can see them, don't put your hands inside your pocket. And sometimes it's just a natural response for people, especially if it's cold, to want to put their hands in their pocket. But watching how quickly the officer addresses it, in fact, you can see where the backup officer addresses the hands going inside the pocket. This is very good contact cover. The other thing that I noticed is that the partner, who was the cover officer, checked the vehicle to make sure there was no one inside. So you can tell that these officers have worked together before. Very, very good, and you can easily tell that they've worked in an area that has probably a very high crime rate.
Don't put your hands on.
Don't reach your hand.
Okay.
Come over here. Come over here. Come over here. Hey, just settle down. Yeah, we're allowed to.
Why?
Calm down.
You want me to explain why?
I know that you cannot do that.
You want me to explain to you why I pulled you over?
cannot do that, sir. Give me your keys. Why do you need my keys? Why do you need my keys?
You're about to catch a criminal charge. Why? Because you're detained for a traffic offense and you're not allowed to leave. You're under arrest for driving on a suspended driver's license.
That's not a criminal offense.
It's a traffic offense.
It's a traffic offense, not a criminal offense.
Okay, so now we're also in this situation where the person is debating with the officer about whether they can put their hands on them. So let me address putting hands on people. People are not going to like if you put your hands on them. I wouldn't like a person putting their hands on me. But understanding that this gentleman keeps putting his hands where the officers are telling him to keep your hands where I can see them is going to be a challenge for the guy, because the officers are within their lawful right to make sure that he does not continue to put his hands inside of his pockets while prior to being patted down. The other thing is the driver is going back and forth with the officer about whether he can be arrested for it, because it's a traffic offense. Some traffic offenses are arrestable depending on the jurisdiction you're in. And these officers are clearly saying that it's an arrestable offense for driving on a suspended license, but he's continuing to argue and debate with them. This is not the time to litigate that. This goes back to the term of being a sea lawyer.
Lean against this. Do it. We don't have to come.
Quiet.
Okay. Well, quit. Tighten up.
I'm not tightening up.
Okay, you're about to find your way in a set of handcuffs. Okay. Just settle down.
Okay.
Just settle down.
Okay. Am I being detained?
Yes. You're under arrest.
What's your RAS?
What is RAS?
Reasonable suspicion of driving on a suspended license, Charles.
That's illegal. You can't do that.
That's not illegal.
Yes,
it is. Because you have to. It's a traffic offense before you conduct a traffic stop.
Okay, don't argue with silly stuff. I'm not going to argue with silly stuff.
See you there.
Okay. Mr. Terry. Mr. Terry.
Yes.
So
what? Okay. So y'all are arresting me for suspended driver license that I don't have.
Come here. Walk right over here. Okay. So that's you.
1649.
Okay, you got behind my car.
Suspended.
Okay, I'm suspended. I didn't. Okay, you're saying I'm suspended.
Yeah, your driver's
but I
license
haven't did anything criminal.
So I ran your license plate.
But that's not criminal.
The officer did not have to show him the computer like that. Most officers don't end up doing that, but this was a very respectful thing. Say, listen, this is the information that I saw. The officer didn't have to share that by bringing him over to the vehicle and showing it to him. The officer was being really cool by doing that.
It's a misdemeanor in the state of Arkansas.
It's not criminal, man.
Okay, well, I'm not going to argue this.
I studied law for 10 years. That's not criminal.
All right, well, right now you're under arrest for driving off suspended driver's license. And I'm not going to have this silly argument anymore, okay?
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out what is all this about.
Well, I've told you 15 times.
Okay, can I call my wife?
No, you cannot. I'm going to put this right on my seat, okay? Is there anything in your car that can get you in trouble? Any weapons? No, I'm towing your vehicle per departmental policy. No, you can't. Go back over there, please.
He's got to drive my car. He said he's going to drive my car
He
back.
cannot.
Why not?
Because per department policy, I have to tow your vehicle.
Why? I mean, y'all just towing my car?
Enter 605. Start me another unit over here, please. Yeah, I'll get you a supervisor.
Can I get a supervisor? I don't want to talk to a supervisor because I don't understand this. Y'all towing my car.
Henry 605, the street crime supervisor available at the moment.
Just jump behind my car. Y'all jump behind my car.
So you have no reasonable expectation of privacy.
Run my car for no reason. Y'all had no. I wasn't speaking. I wasn't speaking. You know what that case is? That case is just identify your court to us. The only
Hey, 605, sorry, I'm in a verbal argument. We're fine, nobody run code. Everybody slow down. It's all good.
Throw me a handcuff.
Let me explain it to you about 15 seconds. Continue. So right now, per departmental policy, inventory search and tow your car.
Really good stuff here, and I'm not sure if you picked up on a lot of different things, but there's some really interesting learning things here. The officer who we're witnessing through his body cam, he requested another unit. Now, this is the multitasking of an officer. He's engaged with the subject. He's also looking around at everything that's going on, and he's listening to what's happening on the radio. So what happened was he asked for another unit, and one of the units said that they're going to be en route code, meaning they're going to roll lights and siren to his location, and I'm going to explain why. So when you ask for another unit, depending on a lot of different variables, the units will roll code. If you say step it up, they're going to roll code, meaning lights and siren. There's another thing, background noise, and every officer will tell you this, that background noise when an officer is transmitting tells us a lot about what we need to do as far as getting to a location. Sometimes the background noise sounds like a struggle or a heavy argument, and that's what I believe it sounded like in the background. And the officer said, heard while he was interacting with the driver of the vehicle that they were rolling code, and he said, it's just a verbal, slow it down, or he said, no need to roll code, something like that. Very good stuff, because I constantly say that rolling code, more officers lose their lives every year from vehicle crashes than they do from any form of violence, from any weapon that a suspect utilizes against them. So really good stuff that the officers were able to multitask in this way and slow the units down, because it also protects the public. Anyone rolling code, it creates a danger. Okay, and I also want to be really clear about this guy arguing about whether it is an arrestable offense. I can't speak to every jurisdiction. I can speak to mine when I was on the department and many other jurisdictions. A citation is essentially a courtesy arrest. You're signing a document, not that you're guilty, that you're going to appear in court. An arrest is taking the person and it expedites the process of you setting your court date. It's not meant to be a punitive act. Just by proxy, it is punitive because it sucks to be in the back of a police car in handcuffs and going to jail, but that expedites the process. A citation is in essence a courtesy arrest, not the arrest of taking a person into custody, but the promise to appear in court because you're going to get a court date if you get arrested.
Not gonna happen. So per my department policy, I have to tow it. I'm not allowed to let anybody take it.
Because he got driving suspended license?
Yes, sir.
I can drive his car.
No, sir. My department policy doesn't allow me to do that. Hey, help him put him in the car.
Like, why is there 4 officers? Yeah, I pulled over because I thought it was my neighbor.
He's not a felon. I don't know why he's tripping about that.
A couple of things I want to discuss is the officer's interaction with the people in front of the laundromat. This happens very frequently because this is a person's opportunity to watch some action, and instead of going home and watching the YouTube video of this, they do it in the field. And it's your right if you want to watch a situation, especially if you do it from a safe location. I noticed the guy who's holding his phone and he's asking to drive the arrestee's vehicle away. And the officer said, department policy, not allowed to do it. The officer said something's interesting because I think that he was trying to give him information to show that what they were doing was lawful by saying that he had a suspended license. A lot of officers won't divulge that information to people because that's not their business. However, I think the officer is attempting to kind of let people know that what they're doing is a lawful act. I don't really want to speak for him. I'm just making this guess. But he's holding his phone up and he's recording the incident. And you've heard me mention this before. This can actually be very helpful for officers, especially if they capture the entirety of from their point of view. And then we have the officer's perspective as well. It really eliminates the ability for someone to create a false narrative against officers. In fact, I say that that officers should embrace people recording as long as they do it from a safe distance. Even on the recording, say, thank you very much, I really appreciate that. In fact, that might be of evidentiary value. Will you just stand around so I can get your name, number, and how to contact you, because yours might be of evidentiary value. Interestingly enough, many people will leave after that because a lot of people don't necessarily want to be involved in the investigative part of it, but sometimes that could be evidentiary in value. They could be a really good witness. It's just a tool. I think that when people push to have body cameras, they thought that we're going to see a lot more bad things about police, and we see a lot more of the good things. And this is not to absolve certain police incidents that I have witnessed myself that were absolutely wrong and horrific. But by and large, we're seeing the right things from officers. And one of the people in front of the laundromat said, why are there 4 officers? I can give you a few reasons. One is because the person wasn't being cooperative in getting inside the vehicle and they asked for another unit. There were 2 initial officers that were inside the first car. Sometimes they're in field training. You'll have field training officer and a trainee. So that could be just 2 units and you would have 4 officers. There was someone that might have been in the area and they want to assist with a tow sheet. There's a lot of reasons why there could be more officers. I'm a big fan of clearing officers off of a call as quickly as possible, but those are just a few reasons why there might be more officers than that person thinks that there should be.
Will you get some latex, please? You have gloves? Okay.
You need a
He's a felon?
Now I'm going to hang up.
Do y'all know him by chance? Okay. So I ran his license plate, which you have no reasonable expectation of privacy of your license plate. We don't have to have a reason to run your license plate. We found that the registered owner of this vehicle has a suspended driver's license. We saw him in the car, pulled him over, and he jumped out immediately and started arguing with us, talking about how he studied law, which, cool, I hope he did. That's great. But it's an unclassified misdemeanor in the state of Arkansas to drive on a suspended driver's license. That's why he was put in handcuffs. He was tensing up. So to avoid a fight, we went ahead and put him in handcuffs because that's where that was going.
Told him he was being arrested.
Yes, for driving on suspended driver's license.
So you're arresting him for a misdemeanor?
Yes. And then, so per my departmental policy.
Freedom is rights, though, when you're arrested. We're not holding.
Schindler. Okay. Let's just.
You guys. It doesn't matter. I paid them to do their job. I'm a taxpayer.
And we just got a gun from a convicted felon. Okay.
So the officer obviously was frustrated because in spite of, he didn't have to do that with the people who were standing out there witnessing this. He did that to try to be, I'm guessing, closer with the community, saying this is why this is going on. I understand that this may not look good to you, but let me explain to you a little bit of the reason why. And the lady in the middle with the hoodie on, in spite of the officer saying that he found a firearm and the person inside the vehicle, according to the officers, is an ex-felon, she goes into a tirade about the fact that the officer didn't read subject his rights. Under that circumstance, Miranda is not necessary. He's not questioning him about, he didn't even talk to the guy after. This is the type of situation that becomes incredibly frustrating when you're attempting to build a bond with the community, people who don't even necessarily like the police, and explain to them what is going on. And to a person who is operating from a basis of fairness and common sense, that makes absolute sense why the officer is acting in that way. And I saw the officer go the extra mile in 2 ways. One, by showing the screen, the computer screen, as to why he stopped the driver, and the driver still chose to debate what the officer saw. And then this woman with the hoodie on is saying that he needs to have his rights read. This is why you see the term TikTok lawyer, because the internet is flooded with information that is erroneous. And I'll say something, I think that attorneys probably get most frustrated because they spent enormous amount of time to learn the law and pass the bar, and then they see people pop up and share things that are contrary to law. I will say this, there are 2 sides. There's the defense and there's the prosecution. Attorneys don't agree on everything, but you get to debate that in court. Giving officers a hard time in front of a laundromat is not helpful to anyone.
No, ma'am, you're more than welcome to stand here. Well, right now he's under arrest for a felon.
Well, you just said he was under arrest for a misdemeanor.
Well, yeah, and that changed when I found the firearm, but you interrupted me, so you don't let me get there.
Girl, stop talking to me. I asked you to get away from me.
Hey, ma'am. Hey, let's just end it. Let's move on. We're not going to sit here and argue, because then we are going to have a problem. So let's just move along, please. I know you're agreeing with us, and she's perfectly fine to disagree with us. That's fine. Everybody's allowed to disagree or agree, but we're not going to stand here on the side of the road and argue about stuff. Okay?
Super smart move. I'm not even sure if you caught it, but there are two people arguing. One person is pro-police, the other person is against the police. The lady with the hoodie is the one who's arguing with the officer, and the other lady is attempting to say that the officers are doing their job. The officer did something very sharp. One is definitely we want to separate those people, because I've been on calls many times where people who are standing at the scene as witnesses end up getting into it. You don't want that to happen, especially when you have officers right there. The officer did something that I believe to be very intelligent. He asked the pro-police person to leave, not the person who is having this contrary view of the police performance. Because if you ask that person to leave, then it seems like you're doing something wrong. If you ask the pro-police person to leave, you're separating the parties and allowing this other person who has a contrary view witness you perform policing in the right manner. That speaks volumes.
You tell me he's under arrest. What? Just tell him he's under arrest for having him.
Oh, I mentioned the guy.
Hey, Mr. Terry.
Yeah.
Don't kick your feet out.
I'm not.
Hey, my supervisor's on the way.
Yeah, but y'all pulled me up for no reason.
Pulled you over because you're driving on spin
Y'all
license.
pulled me up for that's no reason. You can't do that, man.
Okay, well, right now you're under arrest for possession of firearm by certain persons because you're a convicted felon. There's a gun underneath your seat, and you're the only person in the car.
Okay, well, I'm not worried about that because that gun's arrested my wife, so I'm not worried about it.
Guns aren't registered in the state of Arkansas.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. You're incorrect.
That's her gun.
Well, cool.
Belongs to
Hey,
her.
so let's just quit this back and forth, and let's just take it in court.
I'm not worried about it, man.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
You seem pretty worried about it.
Yeah.
This is classic. Take care of the misdemeanors and the felonies will take care of themselves. Officer on patrol observes misdemeanor car stop, conducts misdemeanor car stop. Through the investigation that the officer is conducting, encounters a firearm which is possessed by a person who's alleged to be a felon. It's classic. This happens in so many ways. This is very basic policing, and now this gun is off the street from, according to this, as an alleged prohibited person from having the firearm.
What is he convicted of?
That sack of cash, I'm assuming.
That is indicative of.
This is a little road because people wouldn't yield.
8183 have an assault progress 57th Street.
Did you run the gun?
Colorado police are children Lafayette and Malachi are being abused by a life jail hole. Silver is 51. Go for both.
Searching vehicles without gloves, I don't see any positive to that at a bare minimum. Latex gloves normally also have another pair of protective gloves with you. All upside to utilizing gloves and having those gloves with you. And when we run out, I would keep several pairs of latex gloves inside my vehicle. I would keep several pairs of latex gloves in my back pocket, and I would also keep a pair of protective gloves. And you have to change those out because they can become contaminated.
The guy in custody. So we stopped, we're in his tags, found the registered owner, and his suspended driver's license. Conduct a stop on that BC. As we're going in, we see his back, and he immediately jumps out and locks the door. He's putting his hands in his pockets. I tell him once, okay, take your hands out of your pockets. He does it again. Brandon grabs his arm, and we're going back and forth about how he's not under arrest and studied law for 10. He's being super ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Acting like he has something in the car. Going back and forth how he studied law for 10 years. Tell me that driving on suspended is not a misdemeanor. It is. He keeps tensing up. We go ahead and cuff him. Tell him he's under arrest for driving on suspended driver's license.
Identify him.
I'm going to tow his vehicle per department policy. Tell him that per department policy and Supreme Court case law, I'm going to conduct a inventory search of the car. I didn't say Supreme Court case law to him, but both you and I know it. So I'm going to conduct an inventory search. Look inside. Look underneath the seat where valuable things such as firearms are usually kept. So we're doing an inventory search and there's a gun, and he is a convicted felon. So he is under arrest for possession of firearm by certain persons. So he is in the backseat of the car. He has not been thoroughly searched yet. So let's go ahead and do that.
Sergeant has arrived on the scene. Hopefully it's a sergeant shutdown situation. This would happen very commonly. I would get a call from one of my officers. Hey, Sarge, would you swing by this call real quick? I want to tell you about what happened, especially if it's a situation where a person might end up making a complaint. Okay, and the officer mentioned a Supreme Court case to the sergeant, but he didn't say the name of it. I believe the case the officer is referring is the 1976 case, South Dakota versus Opperman. It's a basic case about police being able to conduct inventories of vehicles that they are going to impound. Code. It covers some very basic things, and they're very common sense and reasonable. It protects the police department and the officer from claims that something was taken or missing from the vehicle. It protects the person from anything being taken from their vehicle. And it protects the public from anything that could be dangerous that's inside of the vehicle, and it's inside of an impound yard, and the impound people could be contaminated by something. So that's the basis of the inventory search under that Opperman case, and that was 1976. Another interesting thing about that is very, very important. It's not searching for evidence. It's an inventory of the vehicle for those reasons that I mentioned. Very interesting case, and that was a Supreme Court ruling, and I'm pretty sure that it was a 6-3, so it was not a slam dunk.
Hey, Brandon, let's go ahead and get a real search on this guy. Hey, sir, this is my sergeant. I'm gonna need you, before you talk to him, I'm gonna need you to step out and face the car. We're gonna get a search on you really quick, okay? Anything on your person? No. Okay. Nothing that can poke me? No. Hurt me? Okay. Spread your feet apart for me. Yes,
sir. They real down there.
I just gotta make sure.
Okay, all right. You the sergeant? Yes, sir. Okay. What's your name, sir? I'm Charles Hunt. Charles Hunt? Hunt. H-U-N-T? Hunt. Okay. Your officers, I know you see farther than them because we're going to the Supreme Court. I hope you know that. I told them I'm studying law for 10 years. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. There's no way these guys could have known that was me in the car. Okay. The full joke. They had no RS. Okay.
Go ahead and take a seat for me.
Reasonable articulate suspicion. They had none because they didn't know who was in the car. My wife could have been in the car. We're gonna sit back. All they knew. We're gonna sit back. So that's why I'm taking y'all to the Supreme Court. Okay. And I'm gonna get $1 million for every day I sit in jail.
Okay, well, you just gained another charge. Attempt to influence. You just gained another charge. Attempt to influence law enforcement.
No, I'm not.
Congratulations.
I call him like I see him, so I'm going to talk about the interaction between the sergeant and the person that was in custody. The sergeant came by to hear the guy's story. While he's attempting to tell his story, the officers are conducting the search on him, and the officer is interacting with the subject while he's attempting to tell his story to the sergeant. Now, it's not a right to talk to the sergeant by law, but some departments have a policy where if a person requests a supervisor, the supervisor can come. And I've been called to those. We didn't have that policy, but I've been called to those situations because you can mitigate a situation from escalating into a complaint, a formal complaint on an officer because of something that may have just been a misunderstanding. Best practice. If the person wants to talk to the sergeant, do your search, make sure everything is safe, let them talk to the sergeant, don't interact, let the sergeant get his chance to give his rebuttal, and then put them inside the car. Give them a fair shot. If you're going to let them talk to the sergeant, give them their fair shot. Now remember, these videos are edited, so I don't know if that occurred, it just cut off, but again, it's important under the circumstances that if you're going to give them the shot to talk to the sergeant, just let them talk to the sergeant after the search is conducted and don't interact with words. His stop, his call, but I call him like I see him, and I want to make sure that things are done fair to all parties, no matter how annoying a person may be.
Kansas versus Glover is the United States Supreme Court case that clarifies that a vehicle return. Say it again, sir. No, it has not. No, it has. No, it is not.
Okay, so Kansas versus Glover. The guy before the officer was able to talk about Kansas versus Glover, he cut him off. Kansas versus Glover is a 2020 case, and this video is from 2022, so it was pretty new. It was an 8-1, was not a slam dunk. What Glover says is that the officers can infer that the person driving the car is likely the registered owner and their driving privileges are revoked, then the officers can reasonably infer that that's the person that's driving the vehicle. Unless it comes back that it's a 22-year-old white female and the person driving the vehicle is a 70-year-old black man that you see. It's reasonable to say that that's not going to be the same person and not the RO. Glover's simple. If you run the plate, the RO comes back revoked, you can reasonably infer that that's the person, unless there's a very clear, distinct difference in what the RO shows and the person that's driving the vehicle.
What is the paramount pillar of Fourth Amendment involving law enforcement? What Supreme Court case?
Man, I'm not going to discuss this with you.
Okay.
Man, I discussed that.
Nope.
I appreciate it.
That's fine. I was just trying to help you understand, that's all.
No, you can't help me understand.
Come over here, please.
You understand. Y'all still on the codes.
What code?
Y'all are.
What codes?
You know what code.
No, actually, that is a legitimate question. What code? Like criminal code? Is that what you're talking about?
It's color of law.
Well, yeah. Everything I've done today has been well within the color of law.
Color of law. It's not. The color of law is not law, then you know.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's not color of law. You know it's not law.
Where'd you study law?
Don't worry about all that, man.
Okay.
All that doesn't matter.
Google. That's where he started from.
No. We'll see. We'll see where I stay.
Okay.
Once I go get my
There is a reason you're not practicing law, and that is
the practice of law. The practice of no. That's great. That's people that talk them is the practice of law. Judgment disease. Are y'all taking these off?
Yeah.
They're tight on me.
Face forward here. You said they're too tight.
Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Circulation off the mind.
Let me make sure I'm in your per policy. So my partner's very large fingers can fit in.
probably the largest finger in the North Police Department.
So just to make sure we're within policy, since you're saying you're going to sue me and all that.
Handcuffs and checking for tightness. When a person's saying their handcuffs are too tight, or check for tightness, the practice is, for most departments, is sticking the pinky inside to make sure that there's enough space between the wrist and the bone and the person and the end of the cuff is a normal practice, and it's worth doing. I've heard all kinds of different funny things. Some officers say, don't worry, they'll stretch without checking them, or they'll say they're not made for comfort. I've heard that as well, and not checking the cuffs can cause huge challenges. As a sergeant, one of the most common complaints that I got was about a person saying that they were cuffed too tight, and I would always have to check to make sure that the officer checked for tightness. It's true, handcuffs are not made to be comfortable, but there is a procedure that is written and documented in every department on how to place handcuffs and how to check for double locking them and checking for tightness. When I say double locking them is, if you double lock these cuffs, they won't move. They'll stay locked, and most of the time it's by depressing a little button on this side here. So you'll see an officer stick a little pin inside here from the handcuff key, and the cuffs won't move. And once you check them, that you know that you're covered. Now, if you just Google police officer lawsuits for handcuffing, there are some really, really high ones. I believe a California case where a guy who was a doctor sued a police department and he got an insane amount of money. So it is incredibly important to make sure that the officers are checking handcuffs for tightness.
When I uncuff this hand, put your left hand up on the wall, please.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I just need everybody's name, though.
Go 3.
Anything to do with this, I need their name.
Okay. Take a seat, please.
Okay, let's grab a picture of here for you.
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah, I need everybody's name. Include me on.
Goad. I'm Goad. That's Hutchinson. He's Schindler. My employee number is.
Thank you.
Yeah, you betcha.
How long I'm being here?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably not too long though. Maybe probably about an hour.
Okay. Can I have some water?
Sure. I'll go buy you a bottle.
They keep it cold like this all the time here?
Yep. It's like a hospital for germs.
Oh, okay. Make you take it to the city board. Man, I forgot about that, man. I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that. You don't need that? Okay. Can I get my numbers out my phone?
Dude, I told you 15 times. Come on.
I'd like to explain something that a lot of lay people may not know. So if you look at these lockers and you saw an officer take his firearm out of the locker, there are secure areas where officers are not allowed to bring their firearms inside the correctional facility, and that would be on the other side of those doors. So when you're watching these videos, you know what area is a secure area and a non-secure area, and officers lock their firearms inside of those lockers. Now, a very important point to mention is that if an officer makes the mistake of bringing their firearm inside of the secured area, there are going to be some correction officers who are not going to be very happy because they don't have firearms. A lot of them have special weapons teams inside that have firearms, but on the floor, they don't have firearms because they don't want there to be situations inside booking areas where fights break out and a firearm ends up inside the facility.
All right, everybody's good.
Strip them out. We got drug priors. Strip them out.
Okay, so I've explained these in other videos, and there are different brands of these, and I think this one is one of the ClearPass models, but essentially it's a low-dose x-ray machine that can check internally and externally and find contraband that a person may potentially try to get inside of a correctional facility. There are very interesting stories about things that have been found on these devices. Very good tool in my opinion, and I know that there are rules on certain departments on who they can be used on. Pregnant people sometimes, I'm not sure all of the different ones because I didn't work inside of a correctional facility. Shout out to the COs. I know a lot of you watch. I've gotten messages from you as well. Please chime in if you know some more specifics as to the rules and regulations of utilizing these devices and things that may have been found in the comment section. It's really interesting.
Like I said, just don't make any calls, okay? Don't, even though it's ringing, don't answer it. Just,
Did you get my contact? Can I get a pen and paper?
yeah, you betcha.
Get my contact. I'm just getting my contact.
Who is it that's calling you?
That's my girl.
Okay. Answer the phone. Tell her you cannot talk for more than a couple seconds, and tell her where you are so she doesn't freak out.
Babe.
Why did you go?
Don't put it on speaker. Hold it up to you.
Baby, I'm in jail. I swear to God, I'm in jail right now. I swear to God, on my mama. I'm not playing. Look, I'm gonna call you. Look, I'm gonna call you as soon as I get on the phone. I'm not playing. No, I swear. Listen, I'm not playing. I'm gonna have to call. I'm not. Listen, I'm serious. I'm in jail right now. Yes, I am. For real. Dude. No, they don't. I just made it to the booking little place up in the inside the jail.
Tack bun spotted. Good stuff inside of a jail. Definitely want to make sure that you got that tack bun going. Good stuff.
You didn't believe it?
Yeah.
Well, at least she knows you're okay.
I don't get in trouble, so
At least she knows you're okay. That's all I was worried about. They don't want her to think something bad happened to you. That way she can let everybody else know. Do what? We're not putting charges on you. We're talking about something completely different. Completely different.
more charges on, right?
No, that would be illegal. Well, you had a gun. You're not allowed to have a gun. You're out on suspended. You can't do that. And you told me you were going to sue me for taking you to jail.
I said I'm going to the Supreme Court with this. I didn't say I'm suing him.
Yeah, you did. It's on high definition body camera. Two people heard you say it.
I went to the Supreme Court with this because I didn't know they're not going to get ejected in the regular court.
Well, so the court that allowed us to do what we did today, everything we did, was the United States Supreme Court. Okay, well, that doesn't mean that it is incorrect. I use United States Supreme Court case law every day. This is my job. Every day.
Supreme Court told you could pull me over for having a contract with the state.
For what?
For having a contract with the state.
That doesn't. What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense.
We're going with sovereign citizen now, but
You're required by law to have a valid driver's license to drive a vehicle in the state of Arkansas on public streets. You're required by law. So typically what you were just saying is what people who call themselves sovereign citizens start to say. Yeah. So law, the contract you said. Sure, but it's required by law to have that driver's license. And yours has been suspended. Correct. Which is a misdemeanor offense in the state of Arkansas, which is why you were taken into custody. So I was trying to explain to you, we could have avoided all of that arguing back and forth if you would just, Yes. And then, for my departmental policy, if somebody is driving on a suspended driver's license, I have to tow their vehicle. I'm not allowed to let somebody come get it. I have to tow it. And per the United States Supreme Court case law, South Dakota versus Opperman, I can conduct an inventory search of your vehicle prior to towing it.
please.
While conducting an inventory search of your vehicle, discovered a firearm underneath your driver's seat. When we ran you an ACIC, when we checked to see if your license was valid, we saw that you were a convicted felon. And you're in possession of a firearm. which is a felony offense in the state of Arkansas.
That's my interpretation of the law as well. Good stuff. This officer seems to know a lot about case law, and it's really important for officers to learn as much as they can about case law. There are a lot of resources out there nowadays that you can get sent directly to your email, the different laws that come out. You can learn so much about the law just from receiving emails, and I receive emails like that all the time. I really enjoy reading stuff like that, and it seems like this officer knows quite a bit about the law.
So just so you're aware of everything you're being charged with, so you're being charged with possession of firearm by certain persons, attempt to influence a law enforcement officer, driving on a suspended license, and driving a vehicle with improper window tint, because the front right passenger window on your vehicle tested to have 4% light level transmission. In the state of Arkansas, the windows to the left and right of the driver are required to have 25% or greater light transmission level. Also, upon checking you in ACIC, we discovered you had a failure to pay warrant at a Little Rock traffic court, so you're being charged with 1 count of failure to pay. And then you had 2 additional warrants at a Little Rock environmental court for failure to appear. Those warrants are LR 21-422 and LR 20-4168. So you're being charged with 2 counts of failure to appear out of Little Rock environmental court.
That's what you call getting maxed out.
Well, educate me, please. Make me understand, please. Well, tell me how I'm wrong, since you're so smart. Tell me how I'm wrong. Yes, please. What did I do wrong? So I can, you study law for 10 years, so I can do it right the next time. Let me. Okay.
Y'all let me do it right now.
Can you tell me about Terry versus Ohio? What about Pennsylvania versus Mims?
Versus Murdoch?
Mims.
Versus Murdoch?
Yeah, what about Illinois versus Wardlow? What about Maryland versus Wilson?
If he doesn't have anything going on.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm asking. Well, you studied law for 10 years.
You'll get there one day.
No, I'm saying.
So you studied law for 10 years.
No, I'm saying. I thought you said Murdoch versus King.
I didn't. I said Pennsylvania versus Mims.
Oh, okay. I thought you said.
I'm not spitting legalese. I'm spitting facts.
Like he's
United States Supreme Court.
6 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so
960 hours.
they didn't teach you no law in there.
Yeah. Well,
You didn't learn no law.
they taught me United States Supreme Court case law. They taught me how the Fourth Amendment works.
They don't teach you that.
Okay. Well, why not?
They don't do it.
How do you know? How do you know?
Because they got lawyers to do that. They
Yeah.
need you to do that.
Yeah. A whole lot of lawyers don't have a very good grasp of case law.
They do.
No, they don't. Quite the opposite, actually.
They do.
They barely have a grasp of the Constitution.
I talked to bar attorneys and they do have a we don't really need police officers. We got sheriffs.
Oh.
You are a sovereign citizen. You just don't know.
You just confirmed it. You just confirmed it.
We don't really need them.
You need to write that down because you need to figure out what's up.
So what does a sheriff's deputy do that's different than what I do? They enforce criminal law. They.
Why don't we just hire more sheriffs?
What's the difference?
Just why do we?
A sheriff is
hire
elected.
more sheriffs.
Okay. A mayor is elected. A mayor appoints a chief of police. Chief of police hires police officers. What is the difference between a sheriff? A sheriff is elected and appoints sheriff's deputies.
So you're cog. Okay, I get it.
Hey, Bucky, you got any gold French flags in here?
Yes, but what I'm asking you is what is the difference? What can a sheriff's deputy do that I can't do?
This is what I'm trying to get you to understand.
Yes, please do. Please help me.
What does cop stand for?
It's a short term for copper, and the term is derived from when police officers used to wear copper badges.
No, absolutely not.
So what does cop stand for? Tell me.
Constable on patrol.
Okay,
That's a version that some people.
that's a version that some people say.
You can look in the Black's Law Dictionary. It'll tell you the same thing.
The what?
Black's Law Dictionary.
What is that?
The Law Dictionary. You ever read the Law Dictionary?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
I've read.
Charles,
I've
I need you
read.
to come to the realization that you are, in fact, a sovereign citizen, and just go ahead and embrace it.
But what is the difference between a police officer like myself and a sheriff's deputy like him? What's the difference? What?
the Constitution speaks of the sheriff and it doesn't speak of.
So you got any gold French?
Yeah, I have taken a pledge to uphold the Constitution of the United States.
You did?
Trying to help
Yes.
us out over here.
With my hand on the Bible.
Why do y'all call y'all car cruisers?
Because we cruise around the streets.
I don't-
Why?
I call it a car.
Yeah, I don't, first of all, I don't call it a cruiser. But that is
Definitely don't call it a car.
What is a motor vehicle?
something driven on the street by a motor, powered by a typically combustion engine. It gets you from point A to point B.
What's the auto trust account number?
I don't even know what that is,
driving
Charles.
today, Charles?
Were you driving or traveling?
It's over.
Are you traveling?
It's over with, man.
I'm feeling like we're getting to the traveling
Over
part
with.
here.
Well,
Man. It's like
No, run that by me.
These are minors.
Run that by me one more time. In auto, what? What does the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution say? What does it say? Okay.
I'm not sure what the upside is on going back and forth with this guy. The officer seems to enjoy it. But I will explain some things here because there was some very interesting things to learn from here. So a lot of people don't realize that there are two major types of police departments. There's the sheriff's office and a police department municipality. Police officers work for a chief of police who is appointed by a mayor, who is elected by the people. That's the point that this officer was making. A sheriff is elected directly from the people and does not report to a mayor. So I'm going to tell you something unique about Las Vegas, one of the most unique police departments. Las Vegas has an elected sheriff that does not report to the mayor. The sheriff reports directly to the people who elected him or her. Interesting story about the current governor of Nevada. He was formerly the sheriff of Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and he was one of my first sergeants. So think about the route that a person can take through the electoral process. But interestingly, Las Vegas is one of the few police departments where you have a sheriff and we don't have deputies. We have police officers because it was a consolidation between the two departments. So it's a very unique and different department. So when you see the sovereign citizens and say, I want to talk to a sheriff's deputy because their ideology says they would only interact with a person who was elected by people, not a governmental agency appointing a person. That's the argument that you're seeing.
How much?
Everything I do is framed in the Constitution of the United States.
Everything you did today was unconstitutional.
Which part of it was?
Pulling me over.
Okay, how was that unconstitutional?
You had no reason. You had no RAS. You had
Yeah,
no reason, articulate suspicion to pull my car.
I had reasonable suspicion to believe you were driving on a suspended driver's license.
Man. If I go to the Supreme Court, they'll say the same thing.
Actually, they're going to say, look at all these different Supreme Court cases that prove you're
The
wrong.
one they just decided on within the last few years.
Yeah, because people not going up there. Yeah, because you have to go up there and tell them that. They can overturn it. It can be overturned.
You're going to go up.
It can't be overturned.
The Supreme Court
They
is
can't
Be there too?
They can be.
Okay, right.
and tell them to overturn it because you, Charles Hunt.
Oh God, man, why is he doing this?
So what I
Y'all
think,
get 6 months of police training and no law. Why are we talking about law?
you know what I think you're mad about? I think you're mad you got caught with a gun
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have
that you're not allowed to have.
You're a felon.
Yeah.
I'm mad because
I think
my civil rights were trampled over.
Which one?
All of them.
Okay. Well, sir, unfortunately,
That's why I'm mad.
that is not true, sir.
Man, y'all still, man, y'all saucered on my rights. It's like a bully. If you don't fight back, you're gonna keep bullying you.
It's not bullying. I took a gun out of the hands of a convicted felon. That is the definition of my job.
The ones that look like armbands or the
Oh, I'm sorry you see it that way.
Yeah, 10-4.
But I love my job, and I think it's one of the best jobs in the world.
It's a good time.
And I think taking guns out of the hands of convicted felons who have been convicted for having dangerous drugs is pretty important to the community. I care about the community a lot. That's why I do this job. No, your rights absolutely matter, sir.
You don't have the Second Amendment right. You forfeited that the day
You are no longer allowed to own a firearm.
And where they say that in the Constitution, it's not the Constitution.
It's not a Constitution, it's state law.
Where is it? It's not where?
I said it's not in the Constitution because I know the Constitution. Yeah. Which you evidently don't. Because everything we made today was a reasonable search and seizure. Everything we did was reasonable. The United States Supreme Court, who interprets the Constitution of the United States, said everything we did today was reasonable.
There's a saying that if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. And it seems like this guy wants to keep on digging a hole for himself. The officer already maxed him out, and it doesn't seem like they're making any headway with each other. But it seems like the officer enjoys having this kind of legal conversation with the person. It looks like from the original video, and they do a really, really good job of putting together a lot of information. The narrative from the original report is actually on here, which is purported to be the actual report, is on this video, and it's going to be pinned. So if you want to watch that video, I recommend it. because the charges that are listed: possession of firearm by a certain person, attempt to influence, driving on a suspended, and driving with improper window tint. So the firearm for certain persons, I believe that's when the officers were mentioning that he was an ex-felon, and this charge of attempt to influence, I believe that's when he was saying that he was going to sue for the $1 million. Some of the elements of this attempt to influence charge, if you're from Arkansas and you know, then you can chime in on that. I haven't heard of that charge in Arkansas. I know we had something similar in Las Vegas. Which leads us to the next thing, which is the coin that I received. Very, very special coin. This coin is a military coin from the USS Woodrow Wilson. And what's interesting about the US Woodrow Wilson is it's a sub. And sub school I did not go to sub school, I wasn't in the Navy, but sub school is incredibly challenging. And big shout out to people who can spend that time on these subs and do what they do in the subs. This came along with another very, very special gift from Tim and his wife, and I really, really appreciate it. And Tim said that I can mention his name, and I did. And the other item, it was very, very special and heartfelt, and I truly appreciate all of the military people and all the wonderful cool coins that I've been receiving working on the display, and the display is going to be really, really interesting. So that's another thing that I'm working on. If you like this kind of content, like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on the video that's on your screen for more content just like this.